Hello world, my name is Gulmakai Saleh and I'm the author of Princess Diversity and the Golden Rule. Today we have a very special topic, the Golden Rule in Christianity. So anyways, we're getting on and warmer. So I'm very excited that you're tuning in and being part of this talk show. So my name is Gulmakai, as you might know. So I created this talk show, Speak Up with Gulmakai, to promote kindness and understanding among all people. So I'm bringing in the guest speaker in. So as he's coming in, I could talk more about why I created this talk show. This talk show was created to promote kindness and understanding and empathy among all people. And we got Ricky Phillips here, Reverend Ricky Phillips.
Hey, how
Fine,
you doing?
thank you. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Thank you for helping me conduct this talk show today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Can everyone hear?
And hello to everybody out there.
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear all the things you have to say. So if you're out there, please hit the like button, share with your friends, share with family members, because today is a very good topic that will build bridges, understanding among all people, so we could better understand the Christian faith. A lot of us probably have wrong assumption of what Christianity is, but if we think about the Golden Rule, which is something ingrained in all faiths, this is something that will bring us together on what we have that's the same.
Wow, and I see we have some great people, some good Facebook friends coming in there.
Yeah. So let's say hi to everyone. Hello, those who are tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Today's a very good topic. Like I said, is about the Golden Rule. And hopefully we could get other people of other faiths who could also talk about the Golden Rule in their faith. So I could start and then people will join in and they will have questions. So today we have Reverend Ricky Phillips. The topic is the Golden Rule in Christianity. He's a Lutheran clergy. Reverend Ricky Phillips graduated from Penn State with a BA in political science. He was a sergeant police officer for 12 years at Bucknell University. He was activated to run a family action center with troops deployed stateside for over a year, where he was awarded the Army Commendation Medal. Wow, very good. He graduated with a master's in divinity degree from Gettysburg Seminar. He has ministered in prison for 6 years. He was a guest chaplain to U.S. Senate and guest chaplain for PA House, and was twice nominated by members of both parties. He was a minister at both Mazeppa Union Church and St. John's Church of Dry Valley for 12 years. He studied at Witherspoon Institute Seminar at Princeton, a course on Muslims and marriage. Wow, so you have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge that you can share with us today. So Reverend Ricky, can you please tell us something, some of your hobbies, your family, share some things that we could get to know you better?
Yeah, I'm married and I have 3 children. Actually, I have 2 in college. And I have 1 in 11th grade right now, so that keeps me pretty busy. And that in itself was a good learning experience. Mm-hmm. For me, one of the best things growing up was growing up with a good mom and dad. And I grew up in the little town of Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania, where it was funny in Phillipsburg, we didn't have a lot of diversity. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that we learned in Phillipsburg was everybody respected and everybody loved each other. And for a small town, we had lots of love. And we had all kinds of, there weren't any Muslims that I ever met growing up in Phillipsburg, but I had a lot of Jewish friends. But just that early on from mom and dad was such a big influence on my life, and also with my brothers and sisters. So the first thing I want to say is thanks to all the mom and dads out there who are just doing a great job in teaching their children to be kind, compassionate, and loving. And there's nothing more important than teaching your children to be peaceful people and kind to all cultures, all nationalities, and all different religions.
Yeah.
Following that, I went through and actually went through Penn State. And when I got out of Penn State, I majored in political science. When I got out of political science, I went to Bucknell University, and I was spent 12 years there as a campus police officer, always on third shift. Actually ran a student security team that had many different nationalities and cultures. I think at one time we had like 30 some people working there. It was a great time. But I always felt the call into ministry. And so I went and decided, my wife stayed at home with the children, and I drove to Gettysburg Seminary actually 3 days a week, 2.5 hours each way, which I don't even know how to even did that by the grace of God. As I did that, then I went through, and at the end, when I was getting ready to graduate from seminary, I got mobilized on Army active duty to run the Family Action Center. And there we operated in Pennsylvania, 15 Pennsylvania counties, helping troops out, all their families who were activated in Bosnia and Germany. And then finally, I actually ministered 6 years in the penitentiary. And at the end of that, and then went through and finally got 2 great congregations. And so I'm blessed with 2 wonderful congregations, Mazeppa and St. John's Church of Dry Valley.
Wow, you have a very exciting life, and you know, all that experience. It took a lot of people skills, right? You have to deal with a lot of people, and of course, being a person who follows the Christian faith, you probably always reflected back on the Golden Rule to help you deal with all these issues, probably especially in prison. A lot of hardship, because the people are going through a lot of hardship, and you have to bring in the Golden Rule. So now,
yeah, the one thing about
no,
I'm sorry, the one thing about the Golden Rule in Christianity, for Christians, you know, of course, Matthew 7:12, do unto others as you'd want others to do unto you. But then in the Gospels, it also calls us to even go above the Golden Rule. So we're called to forgive and to love our enemies. We're called to love God first, with all of our heart and all of our soul, but then to love our neighbor. So the greatest thing that the Christian should always be doing is loving their neighbor unconditionally. There should be no thing ever in Christianity as racism. I know just for the Lutheran World Federation, we have 73 million Lutherans from 79 different countries. So diversity, the Christian church is always diverse. And so we always need to respect and love all people from different nationalities and cultures.
Beautiful, beautiful. So what you kind of mentioned, what motivate you to take the path of God, serving humanity, serving goodness. Can you rebrief that for us again?
Yeah, for me, I think that positivity is so important. And I think one of the things that's beneficial in raising children with the Golden Rule is to allow them to have positive lives. Life is explosive if you spend your time loving all people and learning from the diverse cultures and nationalities. I can't imagine how my life would be so much less explosive if I didn't know all the wonderful Muslims, Jewish, all the people from all the different faiths, nationalities, and cultures that I know. That has changed my entire life, and just helped me to understand how we're all different, and to look and to develop good friendships with other faiths, not just where you go to a conference and you meet somebody and you say, hey, okay, I met the Muslim or the Jewish person at the conference, but to develop good friendships, good relationships, and to actually ask them, how are your children doing? You know, what are they involved in? And to actually just develop wonderful friendships. I think if more Christians did that, they would find that their lives are so much healthier, so much better, their lives would be so much more positive, and they would learn more from other faiths about how to treat other people in a more loving and compassionate manner.
I mean, I could agree. I agree with everything you say. The more we get to know each other, the more we see the beauty of each other. And like so much the world, we're always focused on our differences. We don't
Hmm.
appreciate it, but we also have a lot in common. We're all human. And that's the beauty of being born from the same parents, Adam and Eve, something, both Muslim, Christians, and Jews have in common, that we all come from Adam and Eve. And that's one thing, it's good to understand and know. So, you know, it's great, what you're doing. I'm very happy that there are people like you out there, and hopefully there'll be more Muslim and Jews and people of all faith who will do exactly like what you're doing. Now, tell us about the Golden Rule, and please do tell us some beautiful verses that we could hear and understand and contemplate on.
Yeah, I think the Matthew really goes into the golden rule. And one of the things that Matthew really goes into is if you have anything against your neighbor and you're going to worship, drop worship and go and make up with your neighbor first. Matthew goes into if you have a problem with somebody, go to them one on one and make up with them. Don't start gossiping about them. And I think that's one of the problems. One of the things that I find with dealing with people with other religions, I'll say to them, they'll say something about the different faiths, and I'll say, well, how many of them have you ever even met? Do you actually know anyone? Have you had good conversation with them? And so many times they have no conversation, they have no friendships, and I think it starts on one face-to-face relations, and I think that's what especially the Gospel of Matthew really points
Yeah.
out.
I could relate to that. Once, my husband, we were neighbors. We were not living in Philadelphia at that time, but we were neighbors with these family, and they never met a Muslim. And then once they got to know us, they said, you changed the perspective of Islam to us. Uh, we thought Muslims were all mean, and they're the terrorists and all this. But when we build this
Yeah,
friendship, we got to know a different part of Islam, a different part of Muslims. So even it's been like 5 years we know each other until now. Like we connect with each other, we contact, even though we live like 2-3 hours away from each other, we still contact each other and invite each other over. So that friendship is still there, and I'm really happy we
oh,
met
that's
them when
great.
they met us. They're very, always happy to meet us. So, yeah, that's a beautiful way to do it, like you mentioned. So how?
Yeah, the one thing I like to do, like if I get down to Princeton, I'll get down to Princeton and I'll get down and I'll spend time with the the Islamic faith
Mhm,
leader, and then I'll go over and spend time with the Jewish faith
mhm,
leader, and it's just great. I mean, the relationships I've built have just been a true gift
yeah,
from God.
beautiful. So now, can you tell us, how critical do you believe applying the golden rule today is?
Oh, I think it's absolutely crucial. And I think some of the things that we need to do, set ground rules. I mean, I think that's a good thing right off the bat. Set ground rules. But one of the things, like a couple years ago, I went and I helped to lead a peace conference. And in the peace conference, we took people from Africa. We took them from two Indian reservations in South Dakota, and then students from Germany. And as we got all of them together in the peace conference and they interacted, um, it was so interesting as they learned the different cultures, different nationalities, how people operated differently. And I think we need more of that with kids. How can we have children develop and do things together at an earlier age, with, of course, with the proper boundaries and stuff, so that they get to know and have interfaith relationships early on?
That was something, as a kid growing up here in the United States. I originally came from Afghanistan when I was 4 years old as a refugee.
Oh, okay.
And, who opened the doors for us was the Catholic Church. They helped us from Afghanistan to America, and they opened the door to us. And my father, we were always going to the church. We were always invited to different events. And we got to, you know, build this love and understanding for our Christian people, our people of Christian faith. And even till now, one of our long-time friend, she's been our friend since almost 35 years. And it was built, this friendship was built all the way, you know, from my childhood till now, because they took the time to, you know, care for some people who were refugees, opened their doors to them, give them a home to live in, and helped us. So,
Wow, that's fantastic. That makes me, I'm so happy that the Catholic Church did that. I mean, that's a wonderful thing. Yeah, that's great.
yeah, I mean, it helped us a lot. You know, it helped us get on our feet. We went to school, working, and all that. You know, they helped us a lot, and I really appreciate it. And I can never forget their kindness. And even till this day, some of the friends have gone away, but there's still a few we still keep connected to. Yeah, and of course, probably it was from the Golden Rule that, you know, Christianity
Yeah.
did teach. Um,
A funny thing the other day when I did a children's sermon, it was ironic. I said, "How many people know the Golden Rule?" And none of the kids knew it. And I thought I thought everybody knows the Golden Rule. We learned that, but maybe they're getting more away from that. And so we went over the importance of the Golden Rule. Probably depends, you know, on each region, but I thought how crucial for our children to learn that. I mean, I think I learned that in kindergarten.
Yeah. When I do my talks with kids, you know, when I go around and do my presentation, Kicking Hate Out of This World, and I ask, do you know what the Golden Rule is? Only maybe one or two kids raise their hand. I know, very sad. You know, that's what my main goal is, to bring back the Golden Rule. You know, it's an ancient law that, you know, rule that we could implement again and again and again. It will never get old. It's a beautiful rule that, you know, all faiths follow. So now that, why is it important for parents and teachers to teach the Golden Rule?
I think number one, I think when you teach the Golden Rule, it teaches you how to be more positive. I'm really a big believer in positive thinking. And I think that if you teach the Golden Rule in more face-to-face interactions with different cultures, nationalities, religions, it helps people to be more positive. And there's no doubt that you will be able, I think every person's a gift from God. And every person has great gifts to share with you. And the more people that you get to meet, and the more diverse people, the more gifts you're going to be able to learn from, the more that you're going to be able to and it's just going to make you a more positive person.
Yeah.
So I think right off the bat, positivity is number one.
Yeah.
Another thing is, so Martin Luther said that the Golden Rule for him was always put yourself in the shoes of the other person first. He said generally we'll probably love each other right off the bat ourselves. So he said you want to put yourself in the other person's shoes, and then you'll learn how to respect and how to love them and maybe what your neighbor needs. I think that's a good point too, because we never know what the other person's going through. Every person might be fighting a battle inside that we don't even know about. And if we can put ourselves in their shoes, and to always be there to teach our children, if there's a person over in the corner nobody's playing with, people are bullying or making fun of, to have the courage to stand up and to go over to that person and introduce themselves and to say hello and to include that person, and to have the courage, if somebody's being bullied, to stand up and say, this isn't right. This goes against my beliefs, and I want to have the courage to say no. And I think that stuff is just so crucial.
Yeah.
A lot of it, I think, is teaching our children how to have courage at an early age.
Yeah, don't be embarrassed to do good. You know, sometimes kids are shy to do good, and, you know, just they need that motivation. They need that teacher. They need that priest or the imam or whoever there is in their life to push them and encourage them. From, you know, sometimes when I've been dealing with kids for 14 years, I do like a double take and say, wait, they opened the door for me. Wait, they said thank you to me. And you're like, it's something that's not happening a lot. That's why I'm like always, like it really amazes me that this kid did something kind. Where does this problem lie? Like what happened? What happened to our society that a golden rule is not being applied?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it might be, we could even look at the wonderful thing about tonight is how can we use social media to break down some of the barriers that people might be watching on television. I mean, look at the terrible things that our children often watch on television and the bad role models that adults often are, How can we teach our children to have role models who are full of love, compassion, and mercy and interact with different people of all different kind of nationalities and cultures instead of getting caught up in role models who are in thought, word, and deed might be saying things that we don't want our children to learn. How can we show love, peace, and compassion in our thoughts, words, and deeds? And I think the parents are going to teach the children. When the children look at their parents, that's going to be one of the greatest role models. Are their parents in their own lives showing love, peace, and mercy? Or are they given role models of anger, hatred, and racism? And how can we exemplify in our actions exactly what our words are and match our words and actions?
Yes. What are some lasting effects that the golden rule will have on a child?
Let me give you a story. There was a person that I knew. There was a guy that was really mean and nasty. And he went and he would, every time a widow would die, he'd try to get a lawyer and take all the money off of the widow. It was a very terrible ordeal. He did this several times. And the family was very angry about it. And one time before the great-grandfather died, he came in and said, look, we follow the Gospels, we follow the Golden Rule, and you should pray for him and forgive him. And when he said that, everybody thought that he was absolutely crazy. How can you forgive someone who's done all these terrible things? And as I talk to people that live through that story now, they said that story had one of the greatest influences in their entire life, that the great-grandfather lived out by his own personal example of forgiving someone and praying for someone who actually did hurt him very badly. And I think the golden rule, when we see people doing the golden rule, automatically it's going to have a healthy effect on us, a healthy effect on everyone else, and everybody's going to look at that and say, wow, that person has something that I want.
Yeah, you're very correct in that. I've seen people who are very caring and loving, and I see how happy they are. They don't have any jealousy, hatred, and you could sense it, like some kind of vibrant. Their light face is vibrant, their smile is vibrant, and I see the golden rule being implemented in their life, and they're very healthy and happy, even though they might have problems in life. And who can have problems, and everyone has stress, everyone has problems, but they're so positive. And yeah, you are right. You're constantly mentioning positive. That's one thing that the quality of the golden rule produces, is making people very positive. So those who are watching this show, and if you're really enjoying it, please share with others so they can also benefit from this. Those who are joining in, we have Reverend Ricky Phillips, who is talking about the golden rule in Christianity. So, I just want to say hi to everyone who is watching. At the moment, I can't call out names because the phone is kind of far away from me and I can't see everyone. But at the end, I will call people out. And if you have any questions, we're going to hold it off till the end. So now, you did share us a story. If there's a youth who's watching today, or a teacher, or a parent, first to the youth, what advice would you give them regarding the goal?
Here's some advice in my own life. So I grew up in the town of Phillipsburg. We had no Muslims. And so I went down to Princeton. And one day I said, I'm going to go down and I'm going to meet the chaplain down here, and I'm going to meet all the Muslim groups, and then I'm going to go over and I'm going to meet all the wonderful the Jewish rabbi, and all the wonderful people connected to him. And so I just did it on my own. And it was one of the scariest things I think that I ever did, because I knew no one, but I felt God calling me. And I would say to all the children out there, don't be afraid to take a chance for love and peace. Don't be afraid to be the person that goes out and just tries something new. Don't be afraid. Just like this. I mean, it's wonderful you have this, the golden rule. This is absolutely beautiful. And because you did this and set this up, how many lives now are going to be touched? And you took a chance in order to do this. Don't be afraid to be a game changer and to be somebody to go out and to spread love in ways that have never been done before.
Yes, very well said. And how about for teachers? You know, what would you, because children are half of their life, they're around their teachers, you know, and we need to train teachers how they could implement the golden rule and make sure it's practiced in their classroom, in their school. So what advice do you have for them?
I would not be afraid, like for teachers, to have little sessions, work sessions on what is the golden rule. I know a lot of teachers do this, but and to show and to correct, not to be afraid to correct children when they're not doing the golden rule, and to show the benefits of, here's the benefit of doing the golden rule. Here's the overall effects of this, and you can be better by doing the golden rule, but not to be afraid to correct children who are going against the golden rule, and ones who are going and spreading hatred and anger. And also to get, maybe the child's having a problem at home. Maybe he's going through something that maybe you could touch base and helping to deal with the fight that he might have going on inside of him.
And of course, any tips and advice for the parents?
Boy, the parents, I think the parents have to be, I really think they have to be good role models for love, peace, and compassion. And I think a lot of times the kids will repeat what they see. And I think parents have to be very careful about what they're watching, about what they're promoting, about how they're acting, because children are always watching how they act, what they're watching on TV, how they're interacting with other religions and cultures and other nationalities, the words that they're using. Parents, I think, have to be very, very careful.
Especially what's going on TV, the news, all these things are being mentioned. Should we be cautioned for letting our children hearing some of these things, especially when the debates were going on and the race for presidency and other government officials were going on? I sensed a lot of bullying between the candidates, and I know a lot of parents were watching these debates, and of course the children are there listening as well. No.
Yeah, I do a lot of, so I work with a lot of high profile political people. And I think that we also, as faith leaders, have a responsibility to let them know when we think that they might have stepped outside the bounds. To let them know that, you know, we stand for love, peace, and compassion. And I think a lot of times they need to hear that, because high-level politics can be a very nasty business. And a lot of money's on the line, and this is where I think faith leaders can be a big help, to allow them to think of the words they're saying, to think of the outcomes that they might have, and maybe to be that helping hand to allow them, so that we can have more good quality dialogues with good conversations, where both sides are represented, but there's good quality conversation and not anger, shouting, pointing the finger, judging other people.
And this goes for all people, you know, father and mother, right? Anywhere a child is around us, we always have to be cautious, because they're always listening. You know, they might not be talking with you, but they're always listening and hearing us through our body language, through what we're saying, what we're thinking. You know, they see it, they sense it more than a baby would, right? So we really have to be very cautious on how we talk, how we address people, how we label people and stereotype, because it will have a long effect on a child. And some people who were, you know, born and then these parents were always racist or prejudiced or whatever, you know, affected the person, and that person later on they wanted to become better, but there was a lot of cleansing they had to do, you know, to get rid of that stereotype they were born into.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, all faiths, of course, and in the Christian faith, you really need to look at yourself and say, how can I become better? And what can I confess so that I can become less, you know, to get rid of those stereotypes I might have developed. And if we really look at ourselves close, we often find that we have stereotypes that we don't never even really realized. And how can we look at that and work to become better? It's a good point.
So one thing is teaching. You know, a lot of us, yes, we know that we will say we know that we know how to be kind, polite, and as you know, nice to people. But the other thing is implementing it. You know, how does a community come together to create an environment where the golden rule is put into practice?
Yeah. One of the things, of course, that we did for this talk was to do a newspaper article on the golden rule. I think it's very important. And now, just by looking at the people coming in, we have a lot of people that have joined in from the community. And I think it's so important to do events such as this, to go to different community events and to remind people at every community event the importance of the golden rule and the importance of how we can treat. It seems so simple. Like when you say the golden rule, people might say, oh, I learned that in kindergarten. That's really not that important. But the truth is, then what actually happens is they say, wow, I haven't thought about that in some time. And I'll bet if I thought about that more every day, I might be a little more peaceful and more loving, and I'd watch my words and actions even more. So it's definitely something that we need to remind ourselves about constantly.
Beautiful. So those who are watching and tuning in, we have Reverend Ricky Phillips, who's talking about the golden rule in Christianity. If you're benefiting from this talk, please do share this talk and like it. And then after we have the talk, we'll have Q&A at the end. So please stay tuned, do not leave. And one thing I want to go back to is you talked about empathy, you know, putting your feet in someone else's shoe. There was one verse in the Bible that I always think about, and I think we should always reflect on. It says in Matthew 7 verse 3, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? So I really like, you know, a lot of us, you know, we don't focus on ourselves. We always focus on other people's faults, and we bring their weakness out. We pick on them. The kids, for example, in school, they bully these kids. And, you know, I have another friend who constantly tells me about the bullying that's happening in the adult world. At work, there's adult bullying. You know, as kids, they were bullies and they never got over that. Now they're working, they're adults, and they're bullying each other. See, how can you elaborate this verse to us more?
Yeah, Matthew's really strong on that. So it's in the Gospel of Matthew where we find the one golden rule, and he is really, yeah, I always say the old saying, when you point a finger at someone else, there's always three coming back at you. It's like, it's so easy for us to judge other people. It's so easy for us to have stereotypes about other people. But the important thing is that we look at ourselves first. If we're going to actually be love and peaceful and kind and have empathy for other people, we have to have that inside of us first before we can go out and share it with other people. And one of the best things to ever teach children is to have empathy for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, to care and have kindness for other people. But yeah, I think it starts inside of all of us first, you know, we all have light inside of us, and we need to get that light out. so it can be a bright light out into the world. And the more that we can work on ourselves internally, that light can flow through and shine out to the rest of the world.
Yes, yes. A lot of people, as we know, time has changed. From 1980 to now 2018, so much have changed, so much technology, so many things have changed. So as a teacher, I've seen a lot of people blaming parents, or as a parent, I've seen a lot of people blaming teachers. But, we live in a time where, the African verb goes, it takes a village to raise a child. We don't have that village anymore. And the village that we do have is mostly profanity, mostly, things that will lead you astray, away from the golden rule, caring about yourself, becoming selfish. How can we help parents, and how can we help teachers to make sure that they could implement this golden rule? The reason I mention parents and teachers are because these are who are involved a lot in a child's life. So these are two people who we should support a lot. So how can we do this?
I think one of the things I know in faith communities, that's where a lot of the teachers and a lot of them are coming from. Mm-hmm. So we need to emphasize it's very easy. A person might be able to go through it and find that in the faith community, you're not really developing love, peace, mercy, and justice. So I think it's really important that we in the faith communities with our teachers that are involved, and then we spread that love out into the community by holding community events, bringing people together, and really being involved. I really think that leaders, not just clergy, but also lay level, lay leaders and all people of all faith communities really have to be out in the community to show that we get along together, that we love each other, and that we're all doing the one thing, and that's spreading love and peace to other mm-hmm. people. And that's one thing I think, if we stay in our own communities and we never interact, and I think then that's when the stereotypes and the prejudices are going to really continue. But once we start showing people that we're working together, spreading love, and that we have similarities that we can come together on, then I think the world will see one big bright mm-hmm. light that can shine out to show people what we're all about.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, sometimes it just takes simple tasks you could do, right? Write a card, right? Invite them over for tea. Simple things that we could do. Some people think, we have to go through all this trouble to get to know people, but it doesn't, just as a neighbor, going to them and talking to them while they're, getting into their car and saying, just talking about little things that will eventually build into a good relationship. And sadly, today that neighborly love is not always there. A lot of people I've seen and say that there's no neighborly love anymore. And this is something that's, of course, taught in all faiths, even in my faith, in my faith, the neighbors have 17 rights. If they're hungry and we go to sleep with a full stomach, that's not something we will be considered doing good. So just as in Christianity, love thy neighbor, get to know your neighbor, there's something that is ingrained in Christianity too. But sadly, it's not being practiced today, That's why, I took the golden rule and put it in my books. Let's if we can't change the adults, at least let's help with the kids, the new generation. Let them be able to practice the golden rule.
Yeah, what a fantastic idea. And just like in our the congregations I serve, we have what's called the Mazeppa's mm-hmm. manna. So we really never knew the poor around us. And then we started a Mazeppa's manna, and now we have about 60 families coming in every month where we're getting them food, clothing, jobs, helping them to get maybe mental health, professional counseling, things of that nature. But we never, until we started spreading the love outside our church mm-hmm. doors, we really never knew who the people were around us. And how can we be beacons of light that just shine out into the world and take the love inside our hearts and take it out into the world to help other people?
I guess it's the first step, taking the first step. You know, for me, myself, you know, I had to come out of my comfort zone. I'm an introvert. So, you know, I like to stay in my own home, in my own corner. But I realized that, you know, even though I'm not a great speaker, I say I have to do something. You know, I have to get over this fear. Uh, if I need to build my skills as a speaker, I will do so. You know, learning all these, the technology, how to write a book, and creating speeches and stuff. This all took effort, and I tried to practice because I didn't want to, you know, there was a burning desire in me that, you know, I want a change. You know, I want kids to know the golden rule. I want empathy among the people. So I think it's a scary part for a lot of people that, you know, the Muslims or the Jews or the Christians or, you know, whoever they may be, even the atheists, we don't take the time to understand them. And I hope that's what I could probably, you know, with this show, you know, build that understanding.
Yeah, we had that's like Professor Robert George of Princeton was one of the greatest influences on my life with the Witherspoon Institute and Jennifer Bryson. I went to the seminars called Muslims and Marriage, and it had all these Muslim scholars from all different countries come over, and it was wonderful. So we all became Facebook friends. We had a great time down there, and now I have all these Muslim friends, and it's just been a blessing to my own life. And I just, when I look at my own life and I think all the wonderful interfaith friends I have, I say, boy, I just hope that other people will be able to have that same kind of experience, because when you really shut yourself in, you're losing so much. And I think that's one of the things I really want to get out there, that if you really want to have a wonderful aspect of your life, develop many friends from all different faiths and cultures.
Yeah, very beautiful. So now, any final words you want to say? Are you planning to do more with the Golden Rule? So tell us your final words and what more you want to add to the.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to do with the Golden Rule is continue to bring interfaith groups together. You've got to come up where we're at. We'll bring you up to our churches.
Yeah.
That'll be a wonderful step there. And just to keep promoting the fact, in a world that often shows hatred, how can we be the game breakers? And of course, I'll be doing a lot with different high political events, but on both sides. So I work with both parties. But how can we be role models to show people that this is a world that can be a world of peace, love, and compassion, and spread that love in every aspect that we're involved in. So the politics I'll definitely be involved politically on both different sides of parties, and also, doing a lot of more interfaith events.
So may your path be blessed, and I hope you accomplish your goal. You know, I'm very grateful that you came on this talk show. So I'm going to see if there's any questions. So if anyone out there has any question, please state it in the comment bar below. And of course, if you're really enjoying this show, share with your friends right now. Invite them to this talk show. If you like it, press the like button. If you love it, press the heart button. And if you think it's amazing, put the wow button. So I see Arif Rashid, he has stated that bullying exists in every aspect of life, from the home, sisters and brothers, parents showing favoritism. Bullying exists from early childhood to the workplace, even in religious institutions. May our beloved Creator guide and protect us all by his will. I mean, so what do you think about that? What do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, he's exactly right. I mean, that's why we got to be really careful as parents that we don't show favoritism towards one child. That's a great point that he brought up. Also in religions, I mean, is in the Lutheran tradition, we have a lot that we confess of, that we've really messed up. Luther said about putting everybody, go in your neighbor's shoes and find out what they need. But Luther also had a lot of terrible things that he said against the Jewish religion. And so we confess that and know that that was wrong. And he's exactly right. And, I'll be the first to point out from the Lutheran tradition, there's a lot of things that went wrong. And often the religious traditions can be show the worst example of the golden
True.
rule. And so we need to be careful ourselves with what we're, how we're living out in the words that we're speaking.
I guess it goes back to your intentions. What's your agenda doing anything you do? If we don't have a pure intention, a pure heart, and wanting to promote goodness, regardless of, gaining any special favor from people, it goes back to intention. You believe that too?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And like you said before, the importance of looking inside of yourself and not judging other people before you work on improving your own self. I mean, that's so crucial.
So thank you, Ari, Rashid, for sharing that thought. Okay, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Anyone's
No.
Samrana Khalid, please, she's saying to please share some videos and links of the golden rule, so I can show my children. I will do that. Just send me a reminder if I do forget. And Anil Haq said, I love getting involved with interfaith people in my community with my kids. It's very important building bridges. God bless you, Anil. That's a great thing you're doing. We need more people like that. Candace is saying that we're all the same in God's eye. Very beautiful. Yes, we're all the creation of God, and God loves us, and He wants the best for us. Let me see if there's any more. It's hard to see with my laptop, and the phone is up. Yeah. So Fatima Popal, thank you for tuning in. She said this is a very wonderful perspective. Thank you for the talk show and special guests. And that actually, I know her, Fatima. She's very involved in interfaith too, in Virginia area. So I see her doing a lot of good work there.
Yeah, Candace brings out a good point that we're all the same in God's eyes. I think we always have to remember that everyone, even non-believers, right? You brought that up, a wonderful point. We need to also work with non-believers, right? And know that everyone was created by God and everyone's loved by God. God knows ourselves better than we know ourselves, right? He's our creator. And how can we love all people? No, and that's a great thing with Candace. I mean, she's exactly right.
Yeah. So if you have anyone else has any questions, please do state it below. Reverend Ricky Phillips will be more than happy to answer your questions. I know later on people will watch the recorded version of this video, this talk show, and of course they're going to bring up questions. So I don't see any more questions coming up. I want to tell Reverend Ricky Phillips, thank you for taking the time and talking with us. If there's any last points you want to share, please do share before I do the closing remarks.
Yeah, the only thing I'd want to say is to all the faith leaders out there, and it doesn't matter whether you're clergy or whether you're, just go out and spread love. If there's one thing that we can do, develop relationships, spread love, be kind to people, follow the golden rule, get called to a higher cause. Life is going to be so much more beautiful with having more cultures, more nationalities, more friends from different religions. Your life's going to be so much more positive. You can be the love that God calls us all to do. You can make a difference. One person can make a big difference. Look at already what this show has done. Already this circulated in our local newspaper. I mean, people now are thinking about the golden rule more. What a blessing. And when you show love, you never know where God's going to take you.
Very beautiful. Thank you once again. I really appreciate your time. I know it's very late for you. It's the evening. We all retire at this time, but you took the time to share with us about the golden rule in Christianity, very, educational, very informative. We got to build bridges today. It couldn't happen without you coming on this show and sharing your knowledge, your experience with us. And I'm very grateful that you did take the time to come on. So, Ricky Phillips, if you need to leave, you could leave, or if you want to stay, it's up to you. I just want to do my ending remarks before we turn this show off.
Go ahead.
Huh?
I'll stay around while you
Great.
do your.
In case if someone wants to ask a question. Um, so this is a wrap up on this talk show, The Golden Rule in Christianity. Our next show will be on March 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have Rabab Elma. We'll be talking about the importance of seeking mental health when help is needed. So this is a very crucial topic that our children and us adults too even need to understand and know when to go seek help. We'll be on Facebook Live on my personal page, which is right here. And until then, you know, I have a few things. If you have any topics you want to be discussed, please comment below. If you want to be part of my team, you know, comment below or go to my website, www.gulmakai.com. That's www.gulmakai, GULMAKAI.com. And you could send an email to me and saying that you do want to be part of this talk show, or if you want to be part of my team. I do different things. This is not the only thing I do. You know, besides I wrote my books, I give talks to different communities, and of course I have this live show. So, you know, I'm always open up to having more people on my team so we could do more. And this video will be recorded. It's being recorded right now, so it will be, I'll put it on my YouTube channel, which is Gulmakai Saleh. So I guess there's nothing else more to say. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Please do share and like, and, you know, spread the word of love and kindness and the golden rule. Let's put it into practice. And again, thank you, Ricky Phillips, for, you know, helping us understand the golden rule in Christianity. So everyone,
Thank you, and what an awesome show.
thank you. Everyone, take care until next.